Hi guys, thanks for checking the video out. Steve Buzza here. I'm at the Ledbetter Indoor Academy, Bangkok, and today's video is about single length irons. So quite a popular trend at the minute. I know a couple manufacturers have already brought some out, and I would imagine over the next sort of 6 to 12 months you'll get a lot of the manufacturers bringing them out. So Bryson, so he was an amateur, he came on the scene, so he's been on the PGA Tour, came out with this concept of the single length irons. And first things first, so the reason why irons come in at different lengths isn't for distance, it's because of angle of attack. So the pitching wedge, for example, we tend to have a steeper angle of attack than we do with a 5-iron. So that was the kind of the concept of why we had shorter length clubs. So trying to alter the attack angles through changing the swing length, or the shaft length, should in theory make it easier to swing. Bryson, however, and again he is a physics major, he kind of looked at the golf machine, which is quite geometry based, and he's come up with quite a logical idea of if you have the same length and the same lies, you only need one swing. So I'm on the fence with that thinking, and one of my worries is with the amateur golfer. And if you look how Bryson actually sets up, he's got the club very upright and he stands very upright. And with the amateur that tends to miss the ball right, my fear is that person will actually hit it more right standing like that. What you've got to factor in as well is Bryson, he's a big boy. I think he's like 6'5", very athletic. So you actually watch him use his irons, he almost uses a modified pitching action. He doesn't have much wrist hinge, and he's very much just kind of so in control of himself. I don't think that's a bad thing, and I think it works great for him, but it worries me with the amateur that might be already lacking a bit of distance, is that although this method is more consistent, the distance that they lose can cause more issues. But anyway, I've tried some of the single length irons very briefly because I had one of my lessons turn up and use one. I hit some 5-irons, and to be fair, it felt quite nice. But without further ado, I'm going to send you back to England. My main man, James Pickard, has actually been using a set of Sterlings, and I'm going to send you across to him, and he's going to give you some of his views on how they've been used, because I haven't used them a great deal. He has. So let's hear from my man.
I've been lucky enough to be centre set from Wish on Golf, so I've got the Sterling irons. I have a setup of 5-2 sand wedge. There is a 4-iron in production at the moment. I actually had an email from Jakob Bowden, who works with Tom Wish on these products, basically saying that they're having to do a prototype of the 4-iron due to the fact that because of a shorter shaft, amateurs find it harder to actually launch the ball with enough spin to keep it up in the air. So it's to do with swing speed and weight distribution. With these irons, as I say, I've got 5 to sand wedge. The 5, 6 and 7-iron actually are kind of dual material, if you like. So because of the kind of the shortness of the irons being an 8-iron length, what they've done is they've created a material. They use the material. It's a stronger metal. They've got a very thin face on here for extra ball speed. It's called high core, the metal. Core is coefficient of restitution. And basically the idea is that because the irons are shorter, to make up the extra yardage due to the lack of length, they had to use different materials. Going down kind of 8-iron down to the sand wedge, they've got soft steel, which again is like a forged metal, very soft sounding. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the 7-iron. I don't know if the microphone will really pick up, but the noise, if you strike it well, which is kind of unlikely, it sounds a little bit more like a hybrid. So kind of looking down, shape-wise, I'm used to my tailor-made PSIs. I've got the Tour version or the Forge. classic shape, thin top line. Looking at these, they're a little bit chunky. I'd almost say kind of game improvement. Offset, there's plenty of offset on these. Now to me, I think originally I was slightly worried with the amount of offset due to being a drawer of the ball, just how much kind of right to left I'd be getting, but in actual fact they almost seem to have straightened my ball flight out, which is quite strange, especially in the longer irons. I tend to kind of miss a little more right now rather than left, which for me feels a little more controllable. I think a hook, if you do tend to pull it, tends to go a little bit further, a little bit quicker, with a bit less spin, so it does get you in a little bit more trouble. With these I don't feel like I'm going to get in as trouble, so I'm going to just hit the 7 iron a minute and hopefully hit it well so you can hear the sound of it. So it's quite like it's a pingy noise getting in. It's a very pingy noise it makes compared to other irons, but it's a loud sound. It makes you feel confident. I think looking down, especially the short irons, you know, being slightly thicker, I haven't played much because of my back injury, and I'm certainly getting a lot of confidence from these. As I say, I really love the shape of my TaylorMade's, kind of the smaller head, but these do give me some confidence. Shorter irons, I'm really surprised at. 8 iron length, pitching wedge, sand wedge, gap wedge, and I'm actually finding them very, very easy to control. Distance wise, because of the length, they do go a little bit further. You'll see I've actually done some stats that will be up on the screen, and with pitching wedge I'm averaging a 148 carry, which compared to my PSI wedge, which is about 138, there's 10 yards difference. Part of that will be down to the fact that obviously it's a longer club, so I can generate a bit more swing speed. They are slightly stronger lofted irons. When they asked me what spec I wanted, I did say, can you just kind of another degree off? So I think it's about a 44, 45 degree pitching wedge that. So it is quite long. But again, for the length of it, it's very controllable. My opinion on these irons, I'm actually going to use them in a tournament on Thursday. So I'll give you more of an opinion on them then. I find transitioning into them quite easy. The longer irons I found harder to get used to than the shorter irons, just due to the fact that because of the loss of length, I found that I was swinging a bit harder to start with. But now I've kind of learned and adapted to hit them. I actually find them very beneficial. Kind of my groupings are a lot tighter. So I think kind of the shortness of the shafts work. Obviously, the shorter your club is, to an extent, the more accurate you are. And I say, I love the wedges. The shorter irons feel great, they look great, you know, get some really good results. So I'm looking forward to getting them out on the course. I think, you know, for me, just trying them in a tournament will really kind of be the proof in the pudding that they work. Obviously with Bryson DeChambeau winning now, Cobra are kind of now launching their single length irons, I think is, you know, it's quite, it's going to be interesting to see whether it's a bit of a fad, I think, or whether actually, you know, there is something behind them. But as far as I'm concerned, for me, I think they're a great looking club. They go nicely. They have tightened my dispersion a little bit, which is great. So I think there's a lot of promise there. And the other point I'd just like to make very quickly is that for beginners, I think these are a great product. Obviously golf's hard enough as it is, and for me, having kind of the idea of same ball position, same posture, you know, getting your swing plane very similar on each swing, you know, for me, for a beginner golfer, it's perfect. I think for a couple of years, just getting to know the game, I think they're absolutely great idea. I can see I can definitely see better players transitioning into these as well. As I say, I'm going to try them out, so I'll be interested to see exactly what the story is, but kind of overall very good. I'm not finding any loss of length. In fact, the 5 iron, you know, I think it's averaging about 214 yards carry, albeit being kind of 21 degrees, I think it is. But so it is strong, but that is to make up for the lack of length. But all in all, really kind of positive for these products. I will let you know how I get on in this tournament. It won't be kind of brilliant. I wouldn't have thought that's due to my back and me not playing, but I'm looking forward to giving them a go on the course. So go on, Steve, back to you, and we'll just let you sum up your thoughts on these again.
James
Cheers.
made quite some good points there. I think the biggest take-home message is do not, and I repeat, do not take your current set and just cut the tops off of them and make them all single lengths. The reason why only a couple of manufacturers have brought single length clubs out so far is you do have to alter the lofts and you do have to alter the weight distribution to make them work. So don't go thinking, well, I'll just cut them all to a single length, because I really don't think that's going to work. It also shows as well is it's very hard to compare single length versus traditional lengths because of the alterations that you need to make. So James is seeing some differences within his yardages, but it's very hard to say, is it the length that's making that, or is it the club head that's making that? I think it will be interesting over time when a few more manufacturers bring these single length stuff out, and maybe a bit more, like I'm using blades at the minute, so I'm using Apex MB blades. It will be interesting if companies will make it some single lengths with this type of head, you know, more of a forged, smaller head, not so much a game-improving cavity. Again, only time will tell, but it is a very difficult situation to actually compare, because you can't compare in isolation because the head does need to change. And that's very much seen in the fact that a lot of these sets don't come with a 4-iron yet because they haven't found a way to actually make them work. So a lot of players aren't using 4-irons now, so you could argue it's not an issue. But certainly for myself, I kind of need that. Plus I feel, for like the scientist in me wanting to test them, I kind of want to test that 4-iron, because I think the answer of does the single length stuff work probably lies more in the 4-iron than the other clubs, but only time will tell. So again, thank you to James for kind of giving us an overview. Follow him on Twitter. He'll give you an update, and good luck for when you play next week. But get some comments down below. Are you somebody that's got some single length clubs? Because I would quite like to hear from you. Are you somebody that's kind of open to the idea? It would be cool to hear your comments. These were mine, and again, like I say, I'm completely on the fence. Have you got off of that fence? Get some comments down below. Hope to catch you soon.